Guys, what's up and welcome to Skrrt Garage. My name is Connor. I'm really happy to have you on the channel today because today, believe it or not, we finally got this F-Type R back on the dyno. If you haven't been following, we have put a VelocityAp Stage 2 tune and pulley on this car, and I've been telling you guys for weeks now how fast this car feels, but I finally got it onto a dyno. Even though it's kind of been crazy, I live in Oklahoma, which is, South Midwest region of the United States, and we have this thing called freezing rain where the temperature hovers around like 32 degrees, and it's not quite cool enough for the rain to turn to snow, and it's kind of this weird thing where it rains and then the wind with the temperature turns it to ice. So from like Monday to Thursday of this week, I wasn't able to drive my car because I did take it out one day, and within like 4 hours, the entire right side of my car was completely covered with like 3 millimeters of ice. I had to sit there for like 45 minutes and let the car de-thaw before I could even drive it. So amongst all that, I was able to convince a shop to let me come in when they're technically not even open for business on a Saturday, and I was able to get these dyno runs done. If you guys haven't though, I did actually post a baseline dyno run of the completely stock 2015 F-Type R. I can put the link in the bottom in the description, or if you want, just go ahead and click up here. I have that video for you. In that video, I talk more about why we do dynos, their purpose as a measurement taking device, and not kind of an end-all, be-all type of power reading, but more of a measurement device like I just said. So if you guys have been following, or if you're a fan of F-Types in general, want to know what kind of power you can get out of this platform, please do me kindness, give this video a big old thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that, and we'll get started with this video. Now let's talk a little bit about the dyno day that I had. I went to a shop called Automotive MD, and like I mentioned earlier, they're generally closed on Saturdays. However, they made an exception for me, and I was able to come in, and it was just me and the guys who work there and a few other people who just wanted to watch. And it was really pretty cool. When we went in there, the environment was a lot more like, hey, let's see what this thing can do, and not, hey, let's just get this guy out of here. So I really did appreciate that on their end. And it was really pretty funny. We pulled the car in, we got it all kind of lined up, and generally speaking, before you do your real runs, you do kind of a test run where you get on there, you run the car a little bit to double check that you have the right readings, also to make sure that if the car was at any sort of angle when you first strapped it down, that it'll kind of fix itself in the first run before you really go balls to the wall on it. And so as we did that kind of startup, warm-up run to see if we could get a torque reading, because if you haven't watched my first baseline dyno run on a dyno jet, we actually weren't able to get a correct torque value. So he also wanted to double check that he could do that for me, and good news guys, he can. So we have the horsepower and the torque figures, and they are correct this go around, which is very good. So we did that kind of warm-up run where I got everything in, and I'd asked the guys there if they had an F-Type on their dyno before, and they said no. And it was pretty telling because once they hit the gas on this F-Type, it is so loud, and those intakes make it sound like a mini Hellcat. And it's really pretty funny if you look at the people around. I'll show you the video right now, but if you look, you can tell all the workers who are around there were laughing and really enjoying what this car looks like and sounds like, and they're very interested in the kind of power it could put down. So I'm going to show you that video right now. Okay, I don't want to waste any more time. We're going to get straight into the runs. We did two. The very first run I'm going to show you right now. Okay guys, even on that very first run, it made a very healthy 539 horsepower and 489 foot-pounds of torque. That is roughly about 635 horsepower and about 575 foot-pounds of twist. That is a lot. If that was the only benefit I got out of this whole thing, I still would have been extremely impressed with this tune. But that, of course, is not all. So let's go ahead and run the second run of the day, and we can see what kind of numbers we put down then. I did.
They made 513 foot-pounds of torque.
Dude, we like that. That's what we like, dude. Okay guys, as you can tell, if you can see us kind of, cheering, clapping hands and giving each other high fives, the goal I had for this tune and crank pulley was to make about 550 wheel horsepower, and we made exactly that. I mean, technically it was 549.6 or something like that horsepower, but we're gonna go ahead and round that up to 550, and the torque was monstrous. It came in at 513 wheel torque. That's over 600 foot-pounds of torque at the crank, which is so impressive. And I'm gonna actually make a dedicated video to how this thing handles on the road and what it feels like on the road, and actually get in the driver's seat and film me while I'm driving around. But suffice it to say that the car feels extremely stock, and that's the highest compliment I can pay this entire tune, because it's a supercharged system, and so when you increase the boost pressure, you increase it everywhere. It's not like a turbocharged car, because I've tuned a lot of my turbocharged cars, and what that feels like is nothing, wham, and then you get hit with all this turbocharged power. But this, because it's a supercharger, it makes continual boost in the same linear fashion that the normal V8 engine or V6 engine, whatever you guys have, makes it. So it's very linear, and it's in fact kind of strange, because when I take this car out on the road, and I daily this, so when I take it out on the road and I drive and I do my errands or whatever, it doesn't feel any different per se to when it was stock, because your brain gets tricked by it being more powerful everywhere. So if you're only going, 2,000-3,000 RPM, just kind of cruising around town, yeah, it makes more power, but it's not something that you would feel, because it doesn't feel boosty, it doesn't feel laggy, it doesn't feel any different. It just makes more power everywhere. The only time where you can really feel it is when you punch it, because as it's building, so is that boost pressure, so is all that power and all that torque, and you fly. There might be some 60 to 130 times coming out very soon. Shout out to my man Stefano at Supersport MTL. We're gonna definitely be doing some of those runs here in the future, and I want you guys to see what it feels like on the road as well, so we will be doing that. But suffice it to say that it feels very stock. And when people ask me about this car, you guys might laugh. When people ask me about this car, I generally tell them that it reminds me a lot of the actor Jason Statham. He's a well-dressed, good-looking guy, but if you do something stupid, he'll kick you in the face. And that's kind of how this F-Type is too, It's elegant, tons of leather, looks beautiful, beautiful design, but if you do something stupid with your right foot, it will send you sideways into a ditch, or it'll send you flying past, honestly, supercars with how fast it is now. It doesn't hurt that he's also British, so just like the car is. But that's kind of what I think about this car. It is mean as can be. It looks incredible. And you guys are gonna get a very dedicated driving review in the future, but there you have it. Those are the results. 550 wheel horsepower, which equates to about 650 horsepower at the crank. And it makes 513 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels, which is about 602 torque at the crank. Super impressive numbers. I can't wait to see what this thing does to other cars on the road. I imagine it will embarrass a lot of cars that are quite a bit more expensive than it. If you guys have liked this video, don't forget to give it a big ol' thumbs up. Subscribe for many more cool drag race videos and other things coming in the future. That's it, guys. Have a great day and we'll see you soon. Peace.